I was researching for an upcoming podcast and saw something interesting I wanted to share with you. This is not the topic of this particular video, but this will be the topic of an upcoming podcast. Please subscribe. The links are in the description page of the channel. I'm going to play a clip from a video in a moment. It is from this video. Speaking in Tongues Medical Study Proves Holy Spirit Praying. Note, this video was uploaded 15 years ago. 2024 minus 15 years would put us around the year 2009.
It's not regular language, at least, that would normally activate the frontal lobe.
Newberg is exploring the relationship between faith and science, studying what happens in the brain during the deepest moments of faith.
If we're really going to look at this very, very powerful force in human history of religion and spirituality, I think we really have to take a look at how that affects our brain, what's changing or turning on or turning off in our brain.
Father, I pray for each of the family members involved in this study. Grant them what they are looking for in their personal lives, for their vision and their potential.
Then he's told to speak in tongues.
This is the first scan when he was in prayer, speaking in English. This is the second scan when he is praying in tongues.
Pastor Stoltzfus's scans showed that his frontal lobe, the part of the brain that controls language, was active when he prayed in English, but for the most part, it fell quiet when he prayed in tongues.
At this point, the interview makes an indirect reference to Romans 8:26. For we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. That would go along with praying in tongues makes that part of your brain shut off. The Spirit is interceding for you. According to the Cleveland Clinic, the frontal lobe is the frontmost part of our brains, the part that's responsible to control over many abilities, including the way we think, how we move, and how we remember things. This is the location of the frontal lobes. Now let's look at a clip from 2005, 4 years prior to the previous clip you saw. This is one that's probably familiar to most of you.
Religious fanatic and individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious.
The religious brain, the one on top, is the one that has the frontal lobe lighting up. The non-religious brain does not. Looking at the timeline from the American Society of Human Genetics, I wanted to just point out some highlights over the years. In 2003, the mapping of the human genome was complete. The very last statement in the 2005 section says that they were identifying the causes of genetic disorders. Just pausing here briefly, 2005, they're identifying the causes of genetic disorders. 2005 is the date printed on the mysterious video talking about that gene. Around the year 2009 is when they're doing the study to see what happens to people's brains when they're praying in tongues. In 2012, the discovery of CRISPR opened the door to genetic editing. Their timeline ends in the year 2020.
Together, we came up with an idea for a biometric ID card that would enable us to know who was out at sea and who was at land. The trust built, and the fishermen no longer saw violence as an option.
The biggest risk we face is that we lose hope and that we lose trust.
Rebuilding trust with the American people.
When you put all things together, it does kind of make you wonder. Please subscribe to my podcast. If I were to no longer be able to post on YouTube, I can hopefully still post for podcasting.